I'm not a celiac, but I am in charge of feeding one, which is not easy to do in the wheat state. So I've done research for 18 years of meals. I started by searching gluten free restaurants. And then I decided that I was broke, so I went for gluten free recipes. My husband had problems gaining weight, so I just went to my usual tried and true recipe websites. But what I found was mostly for weight loss: keto, paleo, just health food. My husband really wanted something else, something that would help him gain. Stuff like cookies and Swedish meatballs, which calls for bread, and beef consomme, which both contain wheat. So, do I just give up on this recipe and never have Swedish meatballs again? This became my mission: to look up all of the classic recipes and then make them all gluten free so they can be enjoyed by celiacs the world over. Can I find the solution? How do we get past the bread? Start this cooking adventure by preheating the oven to 400 degrees. We're going to have to modify a couple of the ingredients: the beef consomme, and of course the bread. Bread has wheat in it, which is a huge no-no for us. What we really want is breadcrumbs, which are gluten-free and commercially available. Next, we're going to need some milk, ground beef. I'm doubling the recipe, so I'm using 2 pounds. 1 egg. That's what the recipe calls for, but remember, I'm doubling it. Next on the list is onion. I don't like a whole minced onion. A half a cup per pound of meat is good. Then we're going to need some sugar, just plain sugar. Then some nutmeg, allspice, salt, and what goes with salt but pepper. And if you have cardamom, you can use cardamom, but you don't have to use it. We need some light cream. I'm using half and half. 1 teaspoon of dillweed. They made me say dillweed. Now, I found a substitute for beef consomme because condensed soups have wheat, but beef broth doesn't have any wheat in it. But for this recipe, it called for flour as a thickener, which we don't want flour. If you would need a thickener, what you want is cornstarch. Now, let's make gluten-free dinner happen. Grab your onions and start mincing. Now, please don't criticize my knife skills. I was a lunch lady for 10 years, and I've been a home chef since I was about 12 years old, but I'm not a professional chef. I haven't been formally trained. This is just what I do. I mince onions until they look good. Get about a 5-quart mixing bowl and start dumping the ingredients in. First, we're going to get our ground turkey. I am using 2 pounds, but you are going to be using 1 unless you're doubling the recipe like me. 1 slice of bread is about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. You'll need half a cup for this recipe. Or if you don't want to do the math, just do a 1/4 cup twice. Grab your milk, and you're going to need a half a cup of that. Dump that in. Grab your egg. You know what to do with that. Dump in your onions. Add your half teaspoon of sugar. And I'm doubling it. We're going to add a half teaspoon of nutmeg. And a half teaspoon of allspice. A 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. One whole teaspoon of salt. And if you have cardamom, now's the time to put in that 1/4 teaspoon of it. Now that we've dumped everything in, it's time to mix it up. If we can get it to combine properly. I know, it's not working out well, is it, doggy? Give up on the spatula and find the proper tool for combining a bunch of ingredients like this. This whisk should work out well, and it forms a really nice meatball goop. Once you get all of the stringy ground turkey goop off of your whisk, once and for all, get some parchment paper and spread it out on a cookie sheet. To keep your hands clean, get out your handy cookie scoop and use that to form the meatballs instead of using your hands. Pop the meatballs in the oven. The recipe says 20 minutes, but I am going to go 30 minutes because I like a well-done meatball. While the meatballs are getting well done, we're going to work on the sauce. Get a saucepan, turn the stove to medium heat, grab your beef broth. You need around 1 1/3 cups of broth to make the equivalent of 1 can of condensed beef consommé. Remember that I am doubling the recipe. Grab your cornstarch and put in 5 tablespoons. Yes, 5 whole tablespoons of cornstarch. Whisk the cornstarch until it's dissolved. Bring it to a boil. You can turn the heat up a little if you need to, but it will thicken up. You just have to be patient. Once the consommé substitute is thickened, turn off the heat and go ahead and grab your half and half and add 1 cup. Grab your dillweed and add 1 teaspoon to the sauce. I'm doubling it, so I'm doing 2 teaspoons. Now that your sauce is all whisked together, your meatballs should be ready to go. Get a 13 by 9 pan or a 5-quart casserole dish. Spray with nonstick cooking spray and transfer the meatballs from the cookie sheet to the casserole dish. Go ahead and get your sauce back, give it a stir, and dump it over the meatballs. Make sure all of the meatballs are covered in the creamy goodness. Now that the meatballs are fully Swedish, we're going to put them back in the oven for 20 minutes. We're going to grab some gluten-free pasta and put them, hi Cinder, how you doing? We're going to boil some water. Now that the water is boiling, we're going to put in our gluten-free pasta and cook it for 6 minutes. Gluten-free pasta does get mushy pretty early, so you need to keep an eye on it. Once the 6 minutes is done, the best way that I know to check it is to get blow on a little bit to cool it off. And once it's cooled off, try it. If it's good enough, drain it. And something I like to do to keep the pasta from sticking together is put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pot. Then I just plop the colander back on top of the water and leave it on the stove. And now, get the meatballs out of the oven and get a plate. I just threw some veggies in a steamer bag in the microwave to make it a complete meal. We have made a 100% gluten-free dinner. Let's see how the troops like it. Even the people who eat wheat like this kind of pasta. I highly recommend this. And we have plenty of leftovers for my husband to take to work for lunch. Now if I can get this lid to cooperate, I can just stick it in the fridge for about a week. And this is a lot of steps, but the dishes really aren't bad. Make sure to clean up after yourself. Wiping down the counters is hygiene, just like brushing your teeth. Congratulations! You are cooking gluten-free. I've got a link to the original Swedish Meatballs recipe in the description. If you liked these gluten-free ideas, please give this video a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me because I have a lot more tips on gluten-free cooking coming soon. Now kick back. This is your time.